West Africa is one of the world's most prolific gold regions, and with gold consolidating above 3,000 and flirting with 3,400 and eventually 3,500, governments across the region are taking a fresh look at how mining revenues are structured. We've seen policy shifts in Mali, Burkina Faso, Ghana, and Cote d'Ivoire as countries are looking to capture more value from their mineral wealth. Now, against this evolving landscape, both of my next guests have made significant commitments to Liberia, a West African country with substantial gold endowments that's been taking a different approach, they say. Now, the opportunity question for investors is, what makes Liberia's path different, and why could right now be the right time to be there? David Kol of Zodiac Gold and Brett Richards of Pasofino Gold, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Rachel. Thanks for having us.
Well, if we can start with this question for both of you, maybe we can start with David. Why should investors believe that Liberia won't follow the same playbook that we're seeing in places like Mali and Burkina Faso right now?
Okay, Rachel. So, I think that we just need to make a couple things clear. These policy shifts that are taking place in Burkina, Mali, Niger, Guinea, and some of these other jurisdictions, these were coups that took place. These are, overthrowing governments, changing political leaders, individuals making policy shifts. Liberia is not like that. We are a fully compliant democratic country that has been in existence since 1847. Our constitution has not been changed. All of these policy shifts can't be changed in Liberia. They can amend the Mining Act, which they are discussing currently, but they're doing that in conjunction with the Liberia Chamber of Mines, other advocacy groups, ECOWAS advocacy groups as well. So they're really engaging with the community, from the donor community to the Chamber of Mines, and they're working hand in hand. Yes, are they asking questions? Should they increase royalty rates? Should they increase exploration fees? Yeah, those conversations are taking place in Liberia, but they're doing it in a way where they're working with their partners like us, like the Chamber, and they're doing it in a way where it's not going to be effective in a negative way to the miners and the explorers.
And Brett, do you have anything else to add to what David said?
Yeah, I think David's right on the mark. I said this country, Liberia, is very different than a lot of other jurisdictions in West Africa. It has very different history. It's very different, let's say, colonization, many years ago. And I think Liberia has a strong connection to the U.S. A lot of its people have a strong connection to the U.S. and families in the U.S. There's a fairly large U.S. presence in the capital, and they speak English and they trade in U.S. dollars, although they have a local currency as well. But I think it's just extremely different, and the culture of the people accepting mining companies and accepting foreigners to come in and work in their home country is just, it's very different. It's very collaborative. It's very, I'll say, very receiving. And I think and I've only been in Liberia for a short time, but I've lived in Ouagadougou in Burkina Faso. I've lived in Bamako in Mali, and I've worked in 9 West African countries. And this is safe to say that I feel that Liberia is the best jurisdiction in West Africa. It might be one of the best jurisdictions in Africa as far as compliance, governance, and the government's ability to execute on their promises and deliver.
Well, what's your read on how the government right now views this wave of resource nationalism that's hitting neighbors right now?
I think we've talked about it with the government on multiple occasions. They see this as very short-sighted. I think they also see the regimes as being a little bit short-lived. I don't think that they feel that it's something that's sustainable over a long period of time. And Liberian people don't forget the trials and tribulations they had in a civil war. They don't forget that. So I think, given the fact that they have a longer term view, a more collaborative approach, and to their point about the mining code and having mineral development agreements, these are strong, powerful documents that is a contract with the government and a mining company. So they take it very, very seriously. So they're not after quick gains in high commodity prices, or um, they've structured mineral development agreements so that they can participate when commodity prices go on a bit of a bull run, and they also will retract when commodities pull back. So they're very commercially balanced, and I think this is why it works.
Well, let's talk specifically about your projects. David, Zodiac Gold 100% owns the Todi Project. Can you talk to us about relationships that exist with the community? What sort of buy-in you have as you look to explore and advance Todi?
Sure, Rachel, thank you. So the Todi project consists of roughly 2,300 square kilometers of the Todi Shear Zone. We've been doing systematic exploration for the past many years, and you really can't do exploration in Liberia without buy-in from the community. Although the government owns the mineral rights, you're actually going in and working with the communities. So without their blessing and their approvals, it's very, very hard to navigate and explore in Liberia. So obviously, where Brett is in the life cycle of his project and where we are in the life cycle of our project, it's a bit different. He's looking at his pre-feasibility and building a mine, and we're continuing through our exploration as well. But back to your question, the buy-in from the community is absolutely imperative. You cannot operate without it. So as long as you under-promise and over-deliver to the community, I don't see it being an issue in Liberia at all. I think a lot of the times you see companies facing issues in West Africa or Liberia is purely based off of making promises that they're not fulfilling. So as long as you go in there, you abide by the law, under promise, over deliver, I don't think you'll face any issues.
And do you have any specific safeguards in place to kind of mitigate sudden shifts in, sentiment or
Sure.
policy shift in the area?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we have community, liaison officers, and we also have, all of our geologists interact with the community. So yes, we have safeguards. Thank goodness we've never faced an issue to date, and that's purely based off of having that relationship with the community and having their buy-in. The communities in Liberia want the foreign investment. They pray for it every day. Liberia, as you know, is probably the least explored of the West African countries, but the people are hungry for development. So as long as that hunger exists, their arms are wide open, and as long as you do the right thing, I think success is in everyone's cards.
Well, clearly you're both here to educate us about Liberia and mining in the region. Maybe we'll throw it back to Brett. Some would hear this and still say, this is the wrong time to be in West African gold. Can you make the case for us, just kind of outlining why this is actually potentially a perfect time to be in Liberia?
Yeah, I think I would probably say this even if gold was at $2,000 today, and as you know, it's pushing 33.50. Liberia is the place to be in, because first of all, the geological endowment it has from the beryllium greenstone in gold is very, very attractive. Yes, are grades going to be as high as other parts of the beryllium greenstone? Probably not, but they are going to be very economic at $1,500 gold price, and we're well above that, as you know. There are other base minerals, and there are other base mineral companies and bulks that operate in Liberia. But when we're talking about the competitive nature of the mining business, this is not factual. This is more my instincts. I would say Burkina Faso has 50 operating mining companies. Mali probably close to 100, and Senegal probably close to 40 or 50 themselves. And Liberia has a fraction of that, and probably south of 10 when we talk about Class A mining licenses. So it is extremely robust, emerging frontier when it comes to new projects and new discoveries, new exploration projects. And quite frankly, it's the place to be. It is it's an emerging market in a area in a part of Africa that is pretty well exploited, from Ghana all the way to Mauritania. You've got a pretty well exploited part of Africa. Liberia may well be that exception.
And David, I'll ask you something similar. I heard off camera you're going to be in Liberia soon. What kind of work will you be doing on the ground, and what's important for your company to go through in the next 3-6 months for shareholders to know about?
Sure, yes. I'll be on the ground on Monday. I actually live in Liberia. I've just been traveling for work for the last month, but I'll be back on the ground Monday. We're in the middle of a drill program as well as a trenching program. So the focus is delivering results. We're doing infill drilling now as well as some extensional drilling. So our goal over the next 3 to 6 months is to continue to advance our 5 targets and focus on our resource development, infill drilling, and expand and increase shareholder value clearly. So that's what we'll be focused on over the next 3 to 6 months. We believe we are sitting on a world-class deposit, and we're chasing Brett. He's got a few million ounces, and we're going to try and beat that over the next year or two as we develop the asset. But yeah, we have a goal and a mission, and we believe we do have a major discovery in West Africa.
And Brett, I understand that the key milestone is the pre-feasibility. What's the timeline looking like there?
So I just need to correct a little bit. So in 2022, we actually issued a full feasibility study, a bankable study. And from 2022 until now, the major shareholder, which was Hummingbird Resources, was in a bit of financial distress. So not a lot of development went on at Dugbe. And I came in November of this past year to actually update the feasibility study and get this mine built. So we actually have a full feasibility study. Over the next 2 months, I'm doing a gap analysis on it because it was done post-COVID, so the cost inputs are quite different. The gold price assumptions are quite different. And so we need to update it. So we'll do a gap analysis for a couple of months, and then I'll probably do it takes 7 or 8 months to actually update the feasibility study, produce a new technical report, NI 43-101, and then in parallel to that, put together the project financing.
All right. Well, thank you both for being here, for helping us learn about Liberia and looking behind, or rather beyond, some of the headlines around West Africa. For our viewers who are watching, you can find ticker symbols for both companies below and learn more about both Brett and David through CEO.CA, where investors are chatting. Thanks for watching.